Right, okay, I'm going to make a start because I know we've got lots of stragglers still coming in, but we're going to run out of time to be able to turn around the venue for our international supper later. So, if I can get your attention, because coming up we have in the Council Chamber an information sharing framework with Greater Manchester Combined Authority. Also at 4:45 we want to invite people to a special celebration on community shares. It's taking place upstairs in the Bright Hall from 4:45, so just not yet, but please do go up and celebrate all those incredible work that the Community Shares team have done. But between the end of the main room and the start of the main drink, so our international supper is in here tonight. So we will be asking you to disperse from here so we can turn it around. So feel free to join James and Alice and the team in a policy session. And I hear there might be a bit of bubbly too in there, so please do join them. And then what we'll be doing at 6 o'clock, if it's not clear in your briefings, at 6 o'clock we'll all be going to Toad Lane. I believe that's the precise time that the rain will come out, but bear with us. And we'll have our placards and we will march to our international supper. So please do all join us at 6 o'clock outside Toad Lane for drinks as well. So I think it was Vivian that asked earlier about what does it precisely mean when the government says it's going to double the size of the cooperative and mutual economy. So first of all, we're going to hear from the Minister for Cooperatives and Mutuals and Small Business, Gareth Thomas MP. Thank you.
It's a real pleasure to join you virtually at this year's Co-op Congress, especially in such a landmark year, the UN International Year of Co-operatives. And what better place to mark this moment than Rochdale, the birthplace of the modern cooperative movement. This Congress brings together a remarkable community, leaders from across the UK's co-op landscape, from retail and housing to renewables and community enterprise. And this year, we're joined by global co-op leaders as the International Cooperative Alliance gathers in Manchester. It's a powerful reminder that the co-op spirit transcends borders and continues to inspire action around the world. This is a sector rooted in democratic ownership, community resilience, and long-term value creation. Whether it's a worker-owned enterprise, a supporter trust, or a public service mutual, businesses are driven not by shareholder returns, but by the needs and aspirations of their members and communities. Earlier today, many of you participated in the Policy Forum, helping shape the future of our sector. Your insights will lead directly into DBT's call for evidence and the work of the Mutual and Co-op Sector Business Council. I want to thank you for your contributions and your commitment to building a stronger, more inclusive economy. This government is committed to supporting the growth of cooperatives and mutuals. We recognise the sector's unique ability to deliver not just economic value, but social and environmental impact too. Cooperatives and mutuals are not just values-led, they are economically resilient and commercially effective. In 2024, the UK's democratic economy employed over 1.3 million people and generated a combined annual income of £166 billion. Nearly 80% of these businesses operate as cooperatives. They generate social value by anchoring wealth and employment in local communities. With higher survival rates than traditional firms, more than 3/4 of startups are still active after 5 years. They contribute to economic stability, to social cohesion, and they provide access to essential services. They are particularly impactful in sectors like housing, energy, food, and social care. Compared to other businesses, there is evidence to suggest that they may be more productive, have a lower environmental impact, and be more sustainable. In short, they are businesses that work for people, for communities, and for the planet. But we also know that the UK's co-op economy is smaller than in many of our OECD peers. That's why we've pledged to double the size of the sector and support diverse business models. And we're taking action to make that happen. In March, myself and Emma Reynolds, the Economic Secretary to the Treasury, attended the launch of the Mutual and Co-op Business Council, a sector-led initiative looking at the opportunity to grow co-ops and mutuals in key sectors such as housing and community energy. We're also moving forward with our new business growth service, designed to simplify access to support for all small businesses, including cooperatives. And later this year, we will launch a call for evidence to gather insights on how the government can support cooperative business growth at various stages, including starting and scaling up. We want to hear from you, your ideas, your experiences, and your ambitions. This is your opportunity to shape the future of the sector and ensure that government policy reflects your needs. This is a cross-government effort. We are working closely with the Treasury, with DCMS, with DEFRA, and other departments to ensure that cooperatives and mutuals are embedded in our broader economic and community strategies. We are also engaging with devolved governments and are planning to engage with local authorities to ensure that regional voices and priorities are reflected in our work too. This is an exciting moment in the UN's International Year of Co-operatives. We have a unique opportunity to shape evidence-led policy that empowers communities, that boosts productivity and delivers sustainable growth. So I encourage all of you, whether you're a practitioner, a policymaker, an advocate, to contribute to the call for evidence and to help us build a stronger, fairer economy. Thank you.
Thank you. Hopefully that answers some of your questions. Now, I've been trying to get this wonderful woman to Co-op Congress every year for a while now, so there is no excuse. We're in Greater Manchester, quite a busy week, and still made it. So it is with great pleasure that I'd like to welcome a huge supporter of the cooperative movement, the MP for Central Manchester and the Leader of the House, Lucy Powell.
Well, thanks so much, Rose. It's great to be here. Yeah, I really do know my place in things. I am sandwiched between Paul Coogan and your supper. So I know that those of you who've actually managed to stay for my speech are especially committed to the cause. So thank you for being here. And it is great to be at the Co-op conference this year and to be in the fabulous and glorious Rochdale Town Hall. I've heard all about the work that's been done, and it's just great to see it in all its glory. One of the jobs I have as Leader of the House of Commons is to think about the future of the building. We've got this project called Restoration and Renewal, and I might just send the project director up here to see what you've done here in Rochdale. I'd also just like to thank Rose particularly for her leadership and all that she does for the cooperative movement. I mean, Rose is such a tour de force. You are so incredibly lucky that she is now leading the movement and leading the call for everybody, and she's pulled together this great conference here today. A brilliant Mancunian woman is just my kind of girl, so that's great. And I'd also like to thank Paul Waugh, the great Labour and Co-op MP for Rochdale here where we are today. Paul is one of our new intake, but he's absolutely an old hand, and he has taken to Parliament like a duck to water, and he raises co-op issues with me most weeks in the chamber, don't you, Paul? And you are fantastic, and it's great to have you here today as well. Now, people do often ask me, what is the job of Leader of the House of Commons? So I thought I might just try and explain it a little bit. I am the government's representative in the Commons, and I'm the Commons representative in government. So I have a slightly different role to the people. And one of my jobs is to make sure that we get legislation, the government's legislation, through the House of Commons. And my civil servants call me leader, which, you know, I've taken to quite nicely, actually. And then another part of my job is I'm also the president, the Lord President of His Majesty's Privy Council, which means that once a month I chair and attend the Privy Council with the King, which is a huge honour, and actually the bit of my job that everybody thinks is most exciting. So when I walk into Buckingham Palace, people call me the president. So you can take your pick today. You can either call me leader or you can call me president. It's really up to you. I'll take either. But the other job that I have, and probably the one that I'm most proud of, is that I am the Labour and Co-op MP for Manchester Central. And I've been the MP there, the Labour and Co-op MP for 12 years now. And I know Rochdale is the true home of the cooperative movement, but I like to think that Manchester Central is the kind of modern day home of the co-op movement as well. And my co-op values drive everything that I do in politics as well. So I'm really pleased to be here today. And I can't believe how many people you've had. You've had, I think, 400 delegates throughout the day and this evening, representing over 50 countries, which is incredible. And you're still here, still pushing us, still innovating, still at the frontier of what those Rochdale pioneers, to be here, the home of the Rochdale pioneers, the first cooperatives. You know, it really is phenomenal and something you should all be very proud of. So thank you all very much for being here today as well. And modern day co-ops really are in the spirit of those Rochdale pioneers, aren't they? And I know you've been talking about all the different forms that takes today, from sort of tech infrastructure, social co-ops, music festival, the green economy, all these different things really showing the spirit of those original Rochdale pioneers. And today, it's not so much the candlelit store, but it's the solar panels, it's the platform cooperatives in the new digital age, the community wealth builders, and the radical new ways of doing business that you've all been talking about today. And I think you've also been talking about the Manchester Ship Canal and what that did in the Victorian times, something that it's a great story of Manchester, the Ship Canal. You know, we didn't want to pay all our port money to the Liverpudlians, so we thought we'd dig out a big ship canal instead. And that Victorian age is now, I think it's sort of epitomised in the Andy Burnham age. He's our Queen Victoria of the modern era, and he's really building on that mutuals model, that co-op model, to drive growth and the kind of inclusive growth that we want to see in communities across the country as well. But one thing I just want to really emphasise today, because it's 100 days since the Labour government was first elected, and you know, all parties, I'm sure, and none are represented here today. But we are really proud because the Labour values, the Labour government's values, are so intertwined with those founding values and those founding principles of the co-op movement as well. And the story of cooperatives is the story of Labour in power, whether that's Andy Burnham and what he's doing here in Greater Manchester, or whether it is in that new Labour government that I'm proud to represent in London, because it's about sharing wealth creation, that a founding sort of principle, creating public services for the many and not just the few, run by service users, not just managers, tackling those deep-seated inequalities together and taking on the vested interests to give ordinary people more power, security and opportunity in their lives to change things. So that's what Labour is doing in government, and that is what the co-op movement, I think, is all about this morning. And I thought that Steve Coogan's articulation of that, waking up this morning on the radio, really was a fantastic articulation of that. And I want to thank Steve Coogan for giving so much attention to this conference today. I don't know if Steve's still here, but if we could give Steve another round of applause, that'd be great. And that is the story of what we're trying to do, to take on those vested interests in service of ordinary people to share in the future. And that's what you're doing, because as it was 180 years ago, that is still the story, unfortunately, in a different way, of the country today, because we do live in an uncertain world, but wealth hasn't trickled down to the many. Public services still are very much for the managers, and they're not co-produced with the service users and shaped by the service users in mind. Communities feel even more fractured than they perhaps did 180 years ago. And so those cooperative principles and values are needed more than ever. And they do shine very brightly in the Labour government, not just through members of the government like myself, like Gareth, like Johnny Reynolds, like Jim McMahon and many others that you know, but also what we are doing in government. And I just want to say a little bit about some of those things because, as I said at the beginning, I'm responsible for legislation in Parliament, and so there's a few areas that I want you to be really clear that we are going to be pushing through in Parliament through legislation. So we've already passed the Great British Energy Act, one of our first bills of this government, which will commit Great British Energy to financing community energy projects, and I think that will really open up the opportunity for cooperatives and mutuals to get into that sector, which is so desperately needed in order to help people get that energy security and keeping bills low. We are about to introduce a bill which will change the law on the right to buy for local assets as well, something I know we've all been calling for a long time, whether that's swimming pools, whether that's pubs, football clubs, community centres. We are going to make it a lot easier now for communities to take over those assets. In our Children and Wellbeing Bill, which is nearly through Parliament, we're going to tackle the profiteering by private providers on children's social care as well, something that's already happening here in Manchester. We'll be putting rocket boosters under what Andy Burnham and Adventures are doing here in Greater Manchester to make sure that those children's services can be run by not-for-profit mutuals as well. And the Chancellor, as we just heard then from Gareth Thomas, the Chancellor has established an industry-led mutual and cooperative business council, which I think is going to be really important as well. And we've just opened up a call for evidence on how the government can support mutual businesses to scale up and start new businesses, as well as support existing businesses to become cooperatives or mutuals. And these are really important developments. And thanks to the lobbying of the co-op group and the co-op retail sector, we have put in the Crime and Policing Bill, protection of retail workers, something that is long overdue, and that will be law next year. And we're also funding, we're committed to funding, and work has already begun, the Law Commission's independent review of the Cooperative and Community Benefit Societies Act of 2014, something that we've been long calling for. So they're just some of the specific ways in which, through legislation, we are supporting the cooperative agenda. And it's not just in those specific areas, but when you look at our legislative programme as a whole, I think it really does meet that moment of driving forward those co-op values and principles. And just a few things that I'm particularly proud of as we look back at the last year. We've got that new Water Act now, the Water Special Measures Act, which is really going to take on water bosses. And we've got a whole new agenda coming on water governance, and I think there's real opportunity there as well. We've got a Rail Franchising Act, so finally the railways are going to come back into public ownership, and what an opportunity that is for passengers and customers to really have more of a say over what's happening with our railways. We're bringing in more rights for workers, rights for renters, and the biggest ever social housing building programme in a generation. And the new football regulator, which I know Paul has been long campaigning for as well, which really will support, that's going to receive royal assent hopefully before the summer. That will help to support our small community-owned clubs to grow and flourish. And one thing I know you've been interested today as well, we've got the Devolution bill, which is really going to be this big move of powers out of central government into communities. That's coming later this year as well, because that's what we are about. We are a mission-driven government that is putting our values into practice, and our values are your values, and I hope we can all join together to do that, because whether it's growth and our mission for growth and making sure that growth is inclusive and reaches every community across the country, or housing that is affordable, where the residents and people who own those homes or live in those homes have a real say over their communities as well, whether it's stronger and safer communities, which we're absolutely committed to, and food security and that energy security and all that energy networks that we need to bring in as well. Those values, those pioneering Rochdale cooperative values and principles of 180 years ago are as relevant today to this Labour government as they were 180 years ago. And that spirit, though, is not about government doing things and coming along to conferences like this and telling you that we're doing them. That spirit is because you're doing it, you're shaping it, you're pushing it, you're leading it, you're demanding it, and you're actually delivering it by then spreading that through your models, your co-ops, your communities, and that's as it should be. So I was really pleased to be here today to thank you first and foremost for all that leadership that you are providing. Keep demanding, keep pushing, keep innovating, keep challenging, and most of all, keep cooperating. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much, Lucy. And we are going to have to turn the venue around now for our next session. So thank you all for coming. There is a breakout session with drinks for community shares following. And other than that, 6 p.m. at Toad Lane with your placards. And then we'll march over to back to here for the International Supper. So once again, thanks for all your cooperation today. And a huge thanks to our keynote speaker, Lucy Powell. Thank you so much.